Everyone mocked him for being the pathetic weakest hunter in history, but after a fateful accident, he died and returned as the strongest hunter ever. Following Saitama's routine, he gained immense strength, and every girl became a fan of him. About 10 years ago, strange portals started appearing everywhere. At first, people didn't know what they were, but soon, monsters started pouring out of them. These creatures were terrifying, and regular humans didn't stand a chance. That's when the hunters showed up. They're people with special powers who can take on these monsters. Hunters get ranked by their abilities, from S rank, which is the strongest, all the way down to E rank, the weakest. But there's one big catch: once a hunter awakens their powers, that's it. They're stuck with that level forever. No matter how much they train or fight, they can't get stronger. Now, fast forward 3 years. A place that used to be a construction site has become a dungeon raid zone. That's where Kim is grabbing a drink before heading inside. While he's chilling, his buddy Park spots him. Park's surprised to see Kim because he thought Park had quit being a hunter. Turns out, Park had given it up, but life forced him back into it. His wife's expecting their second baby, and money's tight, so he needs to make some fast cash. Dungeon raids are dangerous, but they pay well. This is where we meet Jin-Woo, the main guy of our story. He's just joined the group, but everyone already knows him. Why? Because he's the weakest hunter anyone's ever seen. Even in an E-rank dungeon, where injuries are super rare, Jin-Woo somehow always ends up hurt. People joke that he's so bad, they should create an F rank just for him. But Jin-Woo doesn't deny it, it's true. He's weak. As he walks in, Joo-hee, a healer he knows from a past mission, calls out to him. Instead of a warm greeting, she's immediately worried about his injuries. Turns out, Jin-Woo managed to hurt himself in one of the easiest dungeons ever. The team didn't even bring a healer because they thought no one could possibly get injured there. But they didn't account for Jin-Woo's knack for accidents. Joo-hee scolds him, but Jin-Woo just accepts it. He knows it's not anyone else's fault. He's just that weak. The group gets ready to enter the dungeon, with Song Kye-yeol stepping up as the leader. Jin-Woo's gear is as bad as it gets, a flimsy knife with barely any magic power. It's all he can afford with his tiny earnings. Despite that, he promises himself he'll do his best. Elsewhere, the Hunters Association president, Gun-hee, is dealing with government officials. They're discussing dungeon breaks, where monsters escape into the real world. The government also wants to use items found in dungeons, like magic gems and crystals, as a clean energy source. These items are incredibly valuable because they can power weapons, tools, and even replace traditional energy sources. Hunters are essential to retrieving these materials, which makes their job even more important. Back in the dungeon, Jin-Woo actually manages to find a magic gem, and he's thrilled. But before he can celebrate, the goblin attacks him. His knife breaks instantly, and he's left defenseless. The goblin stabs him, and Jin-Woo just screams in panic. Thankfully, Park rushes in and saves him while Joo-hee heals his wounds. Jin-Woo watches helplessly as the rest of the team finishes off the goblin, feeling more useless than ever. After defeating the dungeon boss, the team is dividing up the loot when someone spots a massive hole in the wall. It looks like another cave, something rare called a double dungeon. Usually, when a dungeon boss is defeated, the portal closes, but this one hasn't. Song suggests reporting it to the association, but the team doesn't want to lose out on the treasure inside. They vote on whether to explore it, and the final decision falls to Jin-Woo. Even though he knows it's dangerous, he can't afford to back out. His mom is in the hospital. His sister needs money for college, and he's the only one who can support his family. So, he votes to go in. The new dungeon is dark and eerie, with ancient statues everywhere. Joo-hee gets a bad feeling and swears she sees one of the statues move. Before anyone can react, the doors slam shut, trapping them inside. One of the statues suddenly comes to life and kills a team member instantly. Chaos erupts as the group realizes they're in serious danger. The giant statue starts firing beams of light, destroying everything in its path. Jin-Woo is terrified but can't do anything to help. He knows this situation is way beyond him. Jin-Woo thinks back to all the life-threatening situations he's faced in the past, from getting separated on his first mission to nearly starving in a maze-like dungeon. He's been through it all. Even the weakest dungeons have been dangerous for him. His cheap knife and ragged clothes are all he has, and he's constantly mocked for being so weak. Now, trapped in this deadly dungeon, Jin-Woo knows one thing for sure: if he somehow makes it out alive, it'll be pure luck. Because at this rate, it's only a matter of time before his weakness gets him killed. Song Kye-yeol urgently tells everyone to stay completely still. If they make any sudden moves, the statue will attack again. Jin-Woo freezes in place, his fear paralyzing him. Sung acknowledges Jin-Woo for his earlier warning, shouting for everyone to get down had saved their lives. But when Jin-Woo finally looks at Sung, he's horrified. Sung is missing an arm. Blood pours from the wound, and Joo-hee, a B-rank healer, is too shaken to do her job. She's never faced anything this dangerous before and is on the verge of breaking down. Jin-Woo, despite his fear, rushes to help stop the bleeding. Sung, who has plenty of experience in high-level raids, realizes something terrifying. This isn't just a normal enemy. The statue is operating at a level far beyond anything they've encountered, possibly a rank or even S rank. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo starts piecing things together. The stone tablet they saw earlier mentioned consequences for not worshipping God, and now it's clear. This monstrous statue is the god the tablet warned them about. Outside the dungeon, Jin-Woo's sister is at school, talking to a friend. She tells her how her brother always comes home covered in injuries. Her friend laughs, shocked that someone as clumsy and weak as Jin-Woo even became a hunter, joking that she'd do better in his shoes. Back in the dungeon, chaos continues. Sung tries to come up with a plan to get everyone out alive, but one impatient guy decides he's done waiting. He brags about his speed and claims he's fast enough to outrun the statue. As he sprints toward the exit, the statue disintegrates him in an instant, leaving behind only his feet. The group is stunned, realizing the statue could kill them all in seconds. So why hasn't it? Jin-Woo's mind races, and he remembers the first commandment, worship God. That must be the key. Jin-Woo forces himself to stand. Despite the overwhelming fear, he locks eyes with the statue, trying to figure out what it wants. Sung watches, amazed at the fire in Jin-Woo's eyes. This guy, who everyone mocks as the weakest, hasn't given up. Jin-Woo shouts for everyone to bow down, guessing that showing respect might stop the statue from attacking. The group, desperate and out of options, follows his lead. They drop to their knees, bowing low to the ground. At first, it seems to work. The statue pauses, but then it moves again, more menacing than before. That's when the second commandment becomes clear, praise God. One brave hunter steps forward, hands clasped in prayer, and begins shouting praises to the statue. It seems to slow down, giving the group hope. But Jin-Woo notices something wrong. The statue isn't responding to the man's words. In a horrifying instant, the statue crushes him under its massive leg, silencing him forever. Panic spreads as more statues begin to move. Park, thinking of his family, tries to run but is sliced apart by another statue before he gets far. Jin-Woo clings to Joo-hee, frantically searching for answers. He notices that some statues are holding instruments and shouts for the group to head toward them. As the hunters approach these statues, they begin playing music instead of attacking. Jin-Woo realizes the statues respond to individuals, so he leaves Joo-hee near one and dashes to another. Barely dodging a massive blow, he reaches the statue just in time. It starts playing its tune, and Jin-Woo finally understands. Praising God involves activating these musical statues. The main statue, seemingly satisfied, sits down again. But the relief is short-lived. Jin-Woo's foot is badly injured, and Joo-hee struggles to heal him while exhausted. Then the third commandment is revealed, prove your faith. A fiery altar rises in the center of the room, its purpose unclear. Sung suggests that someone's life might need to be sacrificed. The group turns on him, blaming him for leading them into this nightmare. Sung accepts their anger but reminds them that they all voted to come here. Jin-Woo steps up to investigate the altar, realizing that everyone's flames, representing their lives, must remain lit to keep the door open. When one panicked hunter bolts, their flame goes out and the door begins to close. Jin-Woo warns the group that leaving could doom everyone. He deduces that the flames act as a timer and urges everyone to stay put and keep their eyes on the statues, which won't move as long as they're being watched. Despite Jin-Woo's warnings, Kim decides to leave, driven by the thought of his family. As he escapes, the statues begin to move again. Jin-Woo knows they're out of time. Sung, in a surprising move, tells Jin-Woo and Joo-hee to leave. He plans to stay behind and hold the line so they can escape. Joo-hee collapses, her body giving out from overexertion, leaving Sung to carry her. He apologizes to Jin-Woo, promising to protect her, and rushes toward the exit. Now alone, Jin-Woo grabs a sword and faces the statues head-on. They attack relentlessly, cutting off his arm and stabbing him through the chest. As he bleeds out, Jin-Woo reflects on his struggles, his constant effort to prove himself despite being the weakest. Just as he's about to give up, the final blue flame flickers out. A notification appears, secret quest complete, courage of the weak. It offers him a choice, become a player or die. With no hesitation, Jin-Woo chooses yes. When Jin-Woo opens his eyes, he's in a hospital bed. His arm is intact, his chest uninjured, and his leg completely healed. Confused and shocked, he begins to wonder, was everything in the dungeon real, or has his life just taken a dramatic turn? Just as Jin-Woo is trying to wrap his head around everything that happened, a man named Woo Jin-chul shows up. He introduces himself as the manager of the Hunter Association's surveillance team, and with him is a purple-haired guy named Kang Tae-shik. They're not saying much about why they're there, but they drop some big news. Jin-Woo was unconscious for 3 whole days. And there's more. Joo-hee and Song survived, but they didn't come out of it unscathed. Song lost his arm, which means his days as a hunter are probably over. Joo-hee is in even worse shape mentally. She's so traumatized that she's been sent for psychiatric care, and it's clear she won't be hunting again anytime soon. Out of everyone who entered the dungeon, only 6 people made it out alive. Hunters know the job is dangerous, but what happened in that dungeon was beyond anything they were prepared for. Here's where it gets crazy. When another guild arrived later to investigate the dungeon, they didn't find anything. The temple, the statues, completely gone. All they found was Jin-Woo, unconscious. The survivors all told the same story, a wild, impossible story, but their details matched perfectly. Nobody doubted them, but nobody could explain it either. Woo Jin-chul brings up something shocking. He asks Jin-Woo if he experienced a second awakening. Woo explains that a hunter's power is usually fixed after their first awakening, but on super rare occasions, someone might awaken again and become much stronger, sometimes even reaching ORS rank. Jin-Woo gets his hopes up, thinking he might finally be stronger. Woo pulls out a machine to test his power level. Jin-Woo is excited, but the results are a major letdown. His score is a pathetic 10. Even the weakest E-rank hunters score at least 70, so a score of 10 is basically the same as an ordinary person. Woo apologizes and leaves, saying they'll mark the case as unsolved since there's nothing left to investigate. The dungeon vanished, and Jin-Woo's weak power level doesn't explain how he survived. Jin-Woo feels crushed, but something else is bugging him. This weird floating panel in his vision. It's like a video game screen, but nobody else mentions seeing it. Is he the only one? As he stares at it, his sister Jin-Ah comes in. She's worried about him, but he apologizes and asks if she can see the panel. She can't. Confused, Jin-Woo asks how to open a message in a game. Jin-Ah thinks he's lost his mind but gives him the obvious answer, check your inbox. Once she leaves, Jin-Woo tests it out and the panel opens. Notifications pop up, explaining that he's now a player. The system is there to help him get stronger, but there's a catch. If he doesn't complete his quests, there will be penalties. His first daily quest appears, listing simple exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and running. If he doesn't do them, he'll be punished. Jin-Woo thinks it's ridiculous. He's still in the hospital, barely able to stand, let alone do a workout. Meanwhile, Woo Jin-chul reports back to the chairman that Jin-Woo didn't have a second awakening. The incident remains a mystery, and they decide to keep investigating. Elsewhere, Cha-hee-in, an S-rank hunter, is assigned to lead a training raid for new recruits. She's unsure about teaching, but her combat skills alone are enough to inspire others. That night, as Jin-Woo falls asleep, a notification pops up, penalty quest activated. He wakes up to find himself in the middle of a desert. The ground shakes, and in front of him is a giant, terrifying caterpillar monster. Another notification tells him he has to survive for 4 hours. Jin-Woo panics as the monster charges toward him. Back at the hospital, nurses search everywhere, confused about where Jin-Woo went. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo is running for his life. More caterpillars appear, and he's completely out of options. Just as the clock hits 0, Jin-Woo finds himself back in his hospital bed. A notification confirms he completed the penalty quest, but he's so exhausted he pukes and passes out. Over the next few days, Jin-Woo starts to understand the system. Completing daily quests gives him rewards like full recovery, ability points, and loot. By using ability points, he notices he's getting stronger. Even simple tasks feel easier, and his body is changing. 4 days later, he's discharged and decides to test his strength. Crushing an apple with one hand, he's amazed at how much he's improved. One of his rewards is a mysterious key for something called an instant dungeon. Curious, Jin-Woo decides to check it out. Using the key, he opens a gate that wasn't there before and steps through. A notification informs him that the exit is sealed, and the only way out is to defeat the boss. Jin-Woo realizes this is no ordinary dungeon, it's like a separate dimension. As he ventures deeper, a group of goblins appears. Jin-Woo freezes, memories of past injuries flooding back. But this time, he fights back. The goblins are relentless, attacking with everything they've got. Jin-Woo dodges and counters, managing to take them down one by one. As the last goblin falls, Jin-Woo feels a surge of confidence. He's getting stronger, but his relief is short-lived. A much larger monster appears, shattering Jin-Woo's dagger with a single swipe. The creature is on a completely different level. Jin-Woo's legs freeze in fear as the beast stares him down. He tries to move but can't. The monster lets out a roar and charges straight at him. Jin-Woo is dodging like a pro, surprised at how light and fast he feels. The monster charges at him again, but Jin-Woo's had enough of being the weakest. He decides to fight back with everything he's got and throws a punch with all his strength. He's amazed at how much power he has now, thanks to leveling up his stats. Even though the monster still has the upper hand, Jin-Woo refuses to back down. The problem? His attacks aren't doing much damage, so he focuses on dodging instead. Realizing he can't beat this thing on his own, he makes a run for it. With no healer, no backup, and only water and food in his inventory, he knows he's at a disadvantage. He wishes he had a magical weapon to turn the tide. That's when an idea hits him. He checks his inventory and pulls out a sword. It's perfect timing. With one powerful swing, he slices the monster clean in half. Jin-Woo has no clue how the sword got there, but he remembers Kim bragging about spending 3 million on it. That's a weapon Jin-Woo could never afford, but hey, it's an emergency. He keeps fighting, even as the pain starts to fade, but then 2 more monsters show up. Jin-Woo doesn't panic, he's got his sword now. Unfortunately, the sword gets stuck mid-fight, and the monsters close in. Jin-Woo desperately yanks it free at the last second, kicking one wolf away and dealing with the other. This one has steel-like fangs, but Jin-Woo manages to take it down. With only one wolf left, Jin-Woo stands his ground. Acting tough, he intimidates the wolf and it runs off scared. Finally catching a break, Jin-Woo realizes he's leveled up to level 2. This didn't happen with his daily quests, so he figures real combat must give better rewards. He notices all his stats increase by 1 with each level up. Real combat earns him 5 points, while daily quests only give 3. He decides that strength is the most important stat and dumps all his points there, bringing his strength to 32. He feels unstoppable, like he's walking on air. Checking the monster's body for essence stones, Jin-Woo finds something surprising. Items, just like in games. He realizes this dungeon is different from regular ones. Then he discovers his system has a shop where he can sell items for gold. Selling a wolf's tooth earns him 20 gold, though he's not sure how much that's worth. Still, Jin-Woo knows he can't leave the dungeon until he beats the boss or finds a teleportation stone. Staying too long isn't an option either, he could run out of food. As Jin-Woo strategizes, a pack of wolves appears. This time, instead of running, he charges straight at them, slicing through the pack with determination. The fight is intense, but Jin-Woo's focus is on getting stronger. After taking them all down, he gets another notification. He's earned the title Wolf Assassin. This title gives him a 40% boost to all his stats when fighting animal-type monsters. Checking his inventory, Jin-Woo finds wolf fangs, a cloak, and, to his surprise, a teleportation stone. He considers using the stone to escape but hesitates. What if this dungeon vanishes when he leaves? It could be a rare chance to get stronger, like a limited-time event. Jin-Woo decides to keep going. Meanwhile, Joo-hee gets a call from the Hunter Association about a nearby dungeon break. They're short on healers and need her help. Feeling guilty for turning them down before, Joo-hee resolves to step up. Back in the dungeon, Jin-Woo notices his perception skills have improved. He can now sense how strong monsters are based on the color of their names, white for weak, orange for equal strength, and red for stronger enemies. The wolves that were red before are now white, proof that Jin-Woo has leveled up significantly. Descending deeper into the dungeon, Jin-Woo encounters the boss, a massive serpent. Its name glows orange, meaning it's still a tough opponent. The snake strikes with lightning speed, and Jin-Woo barely reacts in time. His sword shatters against the creature's thick scales, and he realizes fighting without a proper weapon is a death sentence. The snake attacks relentlessly, its tail whipping like a deadly weapon. Jin-Woo takes a hit, getting tossed around and injured. As he struggles, memories of being called the weakest hunter flood his mind. The shame and humiliation fuel his determination. Jin-Woo swears to himself that he'll never be powerless again. With newfound resolve, Jin-Woo leaps onto the snake, holding on for dear life as it thrashes around. Using every ounce of his strength, he begins crushing its scales with his bare hands. The snake tries to shake him off, but Jin-Woo is relentless. Finally, he delivers the finishing blow, and the serpent collapses. A notification pops up. Jin-Woo has leveled up multiple times. He bursts out laughing, amazed at how much stronger he's become. The system rewards him with a dagger made from the serpent's fangs. The weapon is twice as powerful as Kim's sword and has special abilities like paralysis and life drain. He also earns a potion that toughens his skin but warns of side effects. As the dungeon morphs into a train station, Jin-Woo realizes he's completed the dungeon. Walking out with his new weapon, he senses something's not right. Outside, a dungeon break is causing chaos. Soldiers are trying to control the situation, but one spots Jin-Woo and realizes he's a hunter. The soldier asks Jin-Woo to help, explaining that most of the monsters have been dealt with except for one, a massive golem wreaking havoc. Jin-Woo watches the hunters struggle against the golem. Their attacks barely scratch it, and the group lacks coordination. Jin-Woo notices Ju-hee among the healers, still haunted by memories of the giant statue. Despite her fear, she tries to focus and heal the team. Jin-Woo assesses the situation. The golem is a D-rank boss, much weaker than the serpent he just fought. Gearing up for an attack, Jin-Woo throws his broken sword with incredible force, shattering the golem's defenses. The hunters, shocked, rally to finish it off. They bring the golem down, but the tank realizes their attacks couldn't have broken through. Spotting Jin-Woo's sword nearby, the tank wonders who could have delivered such a powerful strike. Jin-Woo, keeping a low profile, quietly leaves the scene. He reflects on his growing strength and realizes he's just scratched the surface of what he can become. Meanwhile, Ju-hee wonders if Jin-Woo was the one who saved them all. Time passes, and the nurses at the hospital can't stop gossiping about Jin-Woo. They're talking about how ordinary he looks, but they're also noticing something else: his bug dick. I mean, he's gotten ridiculously ripped. In Jin-Woo's room, our guy is working hard, powering through his daily workout routine like a beast. The nurses can't believe how fast he's changed. One of them, completely smitten, even falls for him when she catches a glimpse of him right after his workout, sweat glistening on his muscles. Today is a big day. Jin-Woo is finally getting discharged. As he's about to leave, the nurse asks for his number, but Jin-Woo, clueless as ever, thinks she just wants it for medical reasons. Awkward as always, he brushes it off and leaves. On the news, we catch a glimpse of Baek Yoon-ho, one of the country's 7S rank hunters. Baek, famous for taking down giant ants, shares what it's like to live as a top-ranked hunter. He explains how he has to train like a madman every day because even the smallest mistake could cost someone's life. His words show just how different the life of an elite hunter is from someone like Jin-Woo. Back at home, Jin-Woo's sister, Jin-Ah, notices the massive changes in him. He's taller, stronger, and looks like a completely different person. Jin-Woo reminds his forgetful sister to take her umbrella to school and watches her leave. Once he's alone, he starts thinking about his gains. Are they all thanks to his boosted stats? He wonders if he keeps this up, could he become some kind of bodybuilder? Jin-Woo starts considering where to allocate his latest stat points. At level 18, he has several options. Strength increases his damage, but it's useless if he can't land a hit. He has vitality, perception, and agility to think about, too. Then there's intellect, which he assumes must be tied to magic, though he doesn't know if he needs it yet. After some thought, he dumps all his points into strength and perception, aiming to balance power and awareness. Just as he finishes, Jin-Woo gets a call from his landlord, reminding him he's behind on rent. Jin-Woo knows he's gotten stronger and can easily make money by taking down goblins. But to really earn big, he'll need access to higher level gates. Unfortunately, as an E-rank hunter, nobody's letting him into those. He briefly considers getting his rank re-evaluated, but the risks stop him. Reawakenings are incredibly rare, and nobody has ever seen a hunter level up like he does. For now, he decides to keep his powers secret until he understands them better. Out of nowhere, Jin-Woo spots a job listing and rushes off. He meets a hunter named H-Wang, who apologizes for needing him. H-Wang admits that the crew thinks Jin-Woo is the weakest hunter ever, but Jin-Woo plays along, lying that they aren't wrong. H-Wang explains they're heading into a C-rank dungeon and need 8 people to enter. Jin-Woo is only there to fill the quota, and H-Wang makes it clear he won't be fighting or getting any loot. Instead, they'll pay him 2 million yuan to carry supplies. Sizing up the team, Jin-Woo sees 4 C-rank hunters and 2 D-rankers. He agrees to the job, figuring it's easy money. Among the team is a 20-year-old D-ranker named Leo, who's decked out in fancy gear, clearly from a wealthy family. Leo doubts Jin-Woo can handle the heavy supplies, but Jin-Woo just smirks, knowing he's more than strong enough. The group arrives at a massive gate, and Leo starts freaking out about whether they're ready for this. Jin-Woo calmly explains that the size of the gate doesn't matter, it's the magic power inside that determines the rank. That's how the Hunter Association assigns ranks, with anything above B being handled by big guilds. Jin-Woo's been a hunter long enough to know this, but he's never actually entered a C rank dungeon before. As they step through the gate, they're surprised to find no magical creatures in sight. Most dungeons are lit by glow stones, but this one is pitch black, reminding Jin-Woo of the terrifying temple from before. He explains to Leo the different types of stones found in dungeons, like essence stones from magical beasts, mana stones that can be mined, and glow stones that light up caves. But something feels off. Jin-Woo's instincts are screaming that there's danger lurking. Suddenly, Jin-Woo realizes they're in an ant's nest. He warns the group just as the sound of approaching monsters fills the air. The ants attack, and the hunters go all out. H-Wang takes the lead, using his taunt skill to draw their attention while the others fight. Jin-Woo is impressed by their teamwork but senses something is still wrong. Quietly, he takes down one of the ants himself, testing his skills. After the fight, H-Wang praises Jin-Woo for spotting the ants early. Jin-Woo brushes it off, saying it was just a hunch. But H-Wang notices some of the ants were already injured, not by swords or magic, but by something else. This means there's a bigger, more dangerous creature nearby. The team presses on and finds a massive haul of mana crystals, worth at least 1 billion yuan. Everyone's excited, but H-Wang's expression changes. He clearly has his own plans. Leo, meanwhile, notices something odd in Jin-Woo's contract. It says Jin-Woo doesn't get a share of the battle loot, but mana crystals aren't considered battle loot. This means the crystals should be split 8 ways, not 7. H-Wang reluctantly agrees but insists they need to deal with the dungeon boss before worrying about the loot. They discover the boss, a giant spider, thankfully asleep. H-Wang leaves to fetch transport gear with his team, telling Jin-Woo and Leo to stay behind and wait. But something feels wrong. Jin-Woo's instincts kick in, and he realizes they're being set up. H-Wang and his team plan to seal them in with the spider to take the loot for themselves. Sure enough, the spider wakes up. Jin-Woo sizes it up and knows it's on another level compared to anything he's fought before. But he doesn't flinch. He tells Leo to stay back, summons his weapon, and declares he's going to take it down. H-Wang and his crew left the dungeon, confident their plan would work. The mage asked why they didn't just kill Jin-Woo and Leo themselves, but H-Wang said it wasn't worth the risk. If they attacked the two, it might wake the spider boss, which would ruin everything. Instead, they decided to let the spider kill Jin-Woo and Leo. After the spider ate them, it would probably fall asleep again, making it safe for them to grab the mono crystals. H-Wang wasn't worried at all. To him, Jin-Woo was just the weakest hunter, and Leo was a rookie with no experience. They had no chance against a C-rank dungeon boss like this spider. Even if the spider didn't go back to sleep, they could still loot Leo's expensive gear. It was worth a fortune. H-Wang thought everything was going perfectly and didn't think Jin-Woo or Leo would survive. Inside the dungeon, Leo was freaking out. He begged Jin-Woo to leave, saying there was no way they could fight the spider. He explained that even a strong C-rank hunter might not survive, and Jin-Woo was just an E-rank. Jin-Woo knew Leo was right. The spider was way above the D-rank bosses he had fought before. But something felt different this time. Jin-Woo had leveled up so much that he didn't feel scared anymore. He was already at level 18. And for the first time, he believed he could win. Ignoring Leo's warnings, Jin-Woo said, "The real hunt starts now," and charged straight at the spider. The spider was massive and terrifying. Its skin was so tough that Jin-Woo's attacks barely made a scratch, and its attacks were deadly. One hit would kill him instantly. Leo stood back, watching, and couldn't believe what he was seeing. Jin-Woo didn't move like an E-rank hunter. He was fast, precise, and confident. Leo started wondering if Jin-Woo was hiding his true strength. Was he a false ranker? False rankers were hunters who registered as weaker than they really were, usually to avoid attention. Leo couldn't figure out who Jin-Woo really was but knew something wasn't normal. Jin-Woo, meanwhile, was struggling. The spider was too strong, and he was getting tired. His stamina was dropping fast, and he couldn't afford to make a mistake. He decided to use the special powers of his daggers, paralysis and drain. If he could hit the spider's weak spot, he might have a chance. But the spider didn't make it easy. It sprayed acid, forcing Jin-Woo to dodge. Using his dash skill, Jin-Woo closed the distance and struck the spider in the face, but even that wasn't enough. The spider's skin was just too tough. The spider hit Jin-Woo hard, knocking him to the ground. He struggled to get back up, realizing he was running out of options. That's when he remembered his daily quest reward. He hadn't used it yet, so he activated it, instantly restoring his health and stamina. Feeling refreshed, Jin-Woo launched another attack. This time, he aimed for the spider's eye. His dagger landed perfectly, and the spider froze as the paralysis effect kicked in. Jin-Woo didn't hesitate. He stabbed the spider again and again, keeping the debuffs active. After what felt like forever, the spider finally collapsed. A notification appeared, confirming Jin-Woo had defeated the dungeon boss. He took a deep breath, knowing he'd barely survived. Without his reward, he would have died for sure. Leo, who had been watching the whole time, was in total shock. Jin-Woo, the so-called weakest hunter, had just taken down a C-rank dungeon boss by himself. To Leo, it was clear Jin-Woo wasn't an ordinary hunter. Jin-Woo looted the spider, finding a rare gem. Leo, still amazed, offered to carry all the supplies from now on. He said Jin-Woo deserved a break after such an incredible fight. Jin-Woo let him, happy to rest. Just then, H-Wang's crew returned to the dungeon. They were shocked to see Jin-Woo and Leo still alive. H-Wang quickly realized his plan had failed. Changing tactics, he offered Leo a deal, kill Jin-Woo and he could join their group. If Leo refused, they would kill both of them. H-Wang thought Leo would agree, but Leo surprised everyone by siding with Jin-Woo instead. H-Wang, furious, ordered his crew to attack. Jin-Woo didn't flinch. As the attackers came at him, he fought back with everything he had. His dagger's powers weakened them, and one by one, he took them down. Leo watched in awe as Jin-Woo defeated the entire crew. H-Wang, the last one standing, buffed himself to make his body as hard as steel. He was sure Jin-Woo must be exhausted after fighting the spider and the rest of his team. Confident, H-Wang attacked, but Jin-Woo was faster and stronger than he expected. Realizing he couldn't win, H-Wang tried to bribe Jin-Woo, offering him more money. But Jin-Woo wasn't interested. H-Wang had betrayed him too many times. Jin-Woo reminded him of his own words. Whatever happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon. Then, Jin-Woo ended the fight for good. With the spider and H-Wang's crew defeated, the dungeon began to collapse. Jin-Woo and Leo ran as fast as they could, escaping just in time. When they made it out, they were the only ones left standing. The officials who arrived couldn't believe two low-level hunters had survived such a dangerous dungeon. They assumed Leo's expensive gear had saved them and ignored Jin-Woo entirely. Leo, however, knew the truth. He looked at Jin-Woo with admiration, thanking him for saving their lives. As the rain started to fall, Jin-Woo smiled. Leo asked why he looked so happy, and Jin-Woo said, "I gave my sister an umbrella." Woo gets news about a shocking incident where 6 hunters were wiped out, and only 2 survived. At first, he's not too surprised. Hunters often run away when things get too dangerous, so it's nothing new. But what makes this different is that the survivors actually took down the dungeon boss before escaping. That catches Woo off guard. He's even more shocked when he learns one of the survivors is Jin-Woo. He immediately suspects H-Wang's involvement, which explains why things turned into such a mess. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo gets home and tells his sister, Jin-Ah, that he's going to handle their mom's hospital bills for a while. Jin-Ah is surprised and thinks he must have made a ton of money from his last raid. She also notices something strange. Jin-Woo isn't injured at all. She assumes his team must have been strong enough to make the fight easy, and Jin-Woo just goes along with it, saying it wasn't too hard. What he doesn't say is that it wasn't because of a strong team. It was because he'd become stronger. He didn't hesitate to fight or finish his enemies. The old Jin-Woo would have looked for a way to escape, but the new Jin-Woo didn't back down. He wonders if leveling up made him this bold. But then he remembers, the people he fought weren't monsters, they were humans. It hits him that his strength has grown so much that he didn't think twice about defeating them. Jin-Ah interrupts his thoughts, reminding him why he's doing all of this, for his family. Jin-Woo decides that, if faced with the same situation, he would do it all over again. Later, Jin-Woo notices something weird when drinking. His body doesn't feel the effects of alcohol. A notification pops up, explaining it's a reward from the double dungeon. The reward cancels out harmful substances and boosts his healing abilities. That's why his arm grew back after his injury. Jin-Woo finally understands how much stronger he's become. Not long after, Jin-Woo meets up with Leo, who is grateful for being saved. Jin-Woo brushes it off, saying Leo doesn't owe him anything. Leo hasn't told anyone what really happened in the dungeon, so Jin-Woo doesn't expect anything in return. But Leo surprises him by asking him to join a strike team. Before Leo can explain, Jin-Woo shuts him down, saying he's not interested. Leo keeps begging, explaining that he needs to complete 20 raids to qualify as a guild master. His dad wants to start a guild for their construction company, and Leo wants to help. Jin-Woo understands the business angle. Running a guild would make it easier to explore dungeons and profit from their loot. Everything inside a dungeon, from mana crystals to rare items, is valuable. Leo's dad even plans to hire an S-rank hunter to lead the guild. But S-rank hunters are rare, there are only 7 in the country, and all of them are already in guilds except one, who's retired. Jin-Woo warns Leo that trying to steal an S-rank hunter from another guild would create powerful enemies. It's a dangerous plan. Leo switches tactics, saying Jin-Woo could help him keep his powers a secret during raids. He even offers Jin-Woo their guild headquarters, a building worth 30 billion yuan. But Jin-Woo isn't interested. In the past, he would have jumped at the chance, but now he knows he can become even stronger on his own. He believes he might reach S rank or higher, so teaming up with someone would be risky. He declines Leo's offer, and Leo finally gives up, leaving disappointed. Elsewhere, H-Wang's younger brother, Wang, is furious about his brother's death. He asks his assistant, Laura, about the two survivors. Wang even considers killing them in another country to avoid trouble. But Laura warns him it's risky. If the country has a treaty, he could face extradition. Wang decides to deal with it later but glares at the names of the survivors, hoping to get revenge. The next day, Jin-Woo goes jogging with Jin-Ah. He asks her what she'd do with 30 billion yuan, but she says it's impossible to imagine having that much money. After their run, Jin-Woo continues alone and notices something strange. His system counter keeps going up even after completing his goal. Curious, he pushes himself further and finds out the counter stops at double the goal. He realizes this might be another part of the system's hidden rewards. Later, Jin-Woo earns a random loot box from his daily quest. He picks a blessed box and hits the jackpot, a key to the Demon King's castle, an S-rank dungeon. The key also comes with a recipe for the elixir of life, which can cure any illness. Jin-Woo knows this could save his mom. Determined, he visits her in the hospital and promises to bring her back to full health. Using the key, Jin-Woo opens the gate to the Demon King's castle. Flames surround the area, and the heat is intense. Jin-Woo feels fear creeping in but reminds himself he has a teleportation stone to escape if needed. Suddenly, a massive monster appears in front of him. Its name is Red, meaning it's much stronger than him. Jin-Woo uses his dash skill to attack quickly, but his strikes barely do any damage. The monster cancels out his debuffs, making the fight even harder. The monster launches a brutal attack, tearing into Jin-Woo. He loses an arm and watches his health drop rapidly. Things get worse when the monster activates a rage skill, doubling its power for 3 minutes. Jin-Woo uses his full recovery reward to heal and grow his arm back but still struggles to keep up. Just as he considers using the teleportation stone to escape, Cerberus, a giant 3-headed dog, appears and knocks the stone out of his hand. Jin-Woo is cornered, with only a few health points left. He remembers the system's shop and quickly buys healing potions, but they only restore small amounts of health. Running out of options, he drinks poison from the dungeon. The system identifies it as harmful and detoxifies it, boosting his defenses. With this small advantage, Jin-Woo keeps fighting. Finally, the monster's rage timer runs out, and Jin-Woo starts landing more effective hits. He targets its injuries, wearing it down. After a fierce battle, Jin-Woo delivers a final blow, defeating Cerberus. A notification confirms he's beaten the gatekeeper of the Demon King's castle. He levels up multiple times, and his wounds heal. Jin-Woo receives the key to the castle and the recipe for the elixir of life. He knows he's not strong enough to take on the castle yet, but he promises himself he'll come back when he's ready. After all that, Jin-Woo visits his mom at the hospital. He wonders if he can really cure her eternal sleep disease. The elixir of life is his only hope, but he doesn't have the 3 ingredients needed to make it yet. He knows where to find them, but entering the Demon King's castle at his current level would mean certain death. Jin-Woo realizes he needs to get much stronger before he even tries. To level up faster, Jin-Woo decides to team up with Leo for the 19 degrees Celsius rank raids Leo mentioned. But Jin-Woo surprises Leo with a condition. They'll do the raids with just the 2 of them, no one else. Leo is shocked. C-rank gates require at least 8 hunters to enter. Jin-Woo explains they can hire enough hunters to meet the quota but not actually bring them into the raid, just like H-Wang's strategy. Leo hesitates, worried about how risky it would be, but Jin-Woo points out that if they succeed, it'll be incredibly impressive, especially to Leo's dad, who's trying to build a new guild. After thinking it over, Leo agrees to handle the details. Meanwhile, Cha-hee is training hard, running laps and staying hydrated. She knows someone has been watching her, and eventually, a guy named Yoon steps out and introduces himself. Somewhere else, Leo's dad is explaining to him how much the world has changed since the gates appeared 10 years ago. Dungeon resources are now essential for the world to function. Hunters are the only ones who can retrieve these resources, making them extremely important. Leo's dad explains how the Hunter Association manages the gates, but the real money comes from the big guilds. The top 5 guilds, Hunter Guild, White Tiger Guild, Reaper Guild, Fame Guild, and Knights Guild, control most of the dungeon resources and are insanely rich. Leo's dad wants to break this monopoly by creating his own guild to take control of his own resources. He's determined to make it happen, even if it's risky. Leo thinks about the challenges of finding the right hunters to work with. He knows it would be easier if his dad put him in charge of the guild, but for now, they need someone strong and reliable. Over at the park, Jin-Woo is doing his usual training. He notices that his extra running isn't being counted anymore, which frustrates him. Hoping for something useful, he opens a loot box but only gets a bingo card, which isn't what he wanted. As Jin-Woo continues training, he realizes the 3 points he earns from leveling up aren't as effective anymore. He thinks about re-entering the penalty zone to fight the centipede he faced before, but he knows it would be a tough battle with no guarantee of gaining experience points. Suddenly, Jin-Woo gets a notification for a D-rank mission from the Hunter Association. Since it's an official mission, he knows he won't be allowed to fight solo this time. Somewhere else, Song is training at a dojo, teaching a younger student. The student wishes he could have fought Song in his prime, but Song admits those days are long gone since he lost his arm. When Song gets the same D-rank raid notification, the student asks why he hasn't retired yet. Song explains that even though he's not as strong as he once was, he still wants to help society however he can. Meanwhile, Kim, another hunter, also gets the raid notification. He hesitates because his last raid nearly killed him, but his wife reminds him they need the money since their child is starting school soon. Kim reassures her that the Hunter Association usually doesn't send low-ranked hunters on dangerous missions, so it should be safe. In another part of town, Beak is annoyed about having to do an interview. Mr. Choi tries to calm him down, explaining that the interview is important for their guild's public image. Beak reluctantly agrees, though he's still frustrated. Meanwhile, Joo-hee is arguing with her mom, who wants her to quit being a hunter. Joo-hee refuses, saying it's her life and her decision. She gets the same D-rank raid notification and decides to join. At the Hunter Association office, Cha-hee tells Beak and Choi about an offer she received from Yujin Construction to become their guild master. She turned it down but is curious about what they discussed with Beak. Later, Beak reflects on the failed Jeju Island raid and the horrors he witnessed there. Choi reminds him of the importance of preparing for future challenges, including clearing Jeju Island one day. At Jin-Woo's house, Jin-ah notices how busy her brother has been. She remembers how the old Jin-Woo needed weeks to recover after every gate and wonders if all his training is paying off. Jin-Woo leaves for his mission without his gear, acting like it's no big deal, which makes Jin-ah worry even more. At the raid site, Song thinks about how his awakened ability focuses on magic, not physical power, which makes his martial arts training less useful against magical beasts. He bumps into Jin-Woo and notices how different he looks. Song assumes a high-ranking healer must have saved Jin-Woo's leg, though Jin-Woo doesn't explain what really happened. When they reach the gate, the group is surprised to see it's a reunion of survivors from the double dungeon incident. Joo-hee notices how much Jin-Woo has changed since she last saw him. Just then, a group of shady men arrives. They're prisoner substitute hunters, criminals working as hunters to reduce their sentences. Song is shocked that they're being forced to work with criminals, but the association assures him it's under control. Kang, a B-rank hunter, is assigned to keep an eye on the prisoners and handle them if they cause trouble. Jin-Woo tells Joo-hee she shouldn't join the raid, but she insists on coming. The criminals are released, and even they question whether this setup is a good idea. Kang reminds them of the consequences if they act out. Introducing himself to the group, Kang promises to handle any problems that arise. Jin-Woo lets Song take charge of the raid, appreciating his leadership. Song thanks Jin-Woo for saving everyone during the double dungeon and apologizes for failing as a leader back then. Jin-Woo brushes it off, saying it's all in the past. Kim also has no objections to Song leading, while Kang keeps watching Jin-Woo closely, suspicious of his strength. With everyone ready, Song announces the start of the raid, and the group steps through the gate. Inside the dungeon, the prisoners fight off goblins like they've been doing this their whole lives. They're so ruthless that Song starts to wonder who the real monsters are. To show he's still got it, Song steps in and takes down some goblins himself. Soon, the entire group of goblins is wiped out. Song is impressed with how much stronger Jin-Woo has become. Even Joo-hee notices that Jin-Woo hasn't taken a single hit, and she hopes her healing powers won't be needed today. As they move forward, Kang leads the group to a fork in the path. The dungeon has been easier than expected so far, so they decide to split up and cover more ground. It's a risky choice, but they figure it'll save time. Jin-Woo can sense the boss is down the left path, but doesn't say anything. He hasn't gained much experience fighting these weak goblins and wants to take on something tougher. He suggests his group go left, and the team splits up. Before leaving, Kang gives Jin-Woo a strange, lingering look. Meanwhile, Kim's group is nervous. They feel guilty about abandoning Jin-Woo during their first raid. Kim decides he's going to apologize, even though he doesn't expect Jin-Woo to forgive him. He feels it's the right thing to do if he wants to stay in the hunter profession. Down the other path, the prisoners handle another goblin group with ease. Kang watches them and asks if they'd fight just as hard against humans. The prisoners shrug, saying it wouldn't matter, they'd still come out on top. That's when Kang reveals his dark plan. He tells the prisoners about a man who paid him 3 million yuan to kill them. The man's daughter had died because of their crimes, and he wanted revenge. Kang's plan is to kill the prisoners and make it look like they were attacked by goblins. Kang begins slaughtering the prisoners one by one. Kim's group, taking another path, stumbles upon the scene. Horrified, Kim tries to stop Kang, but it's too late. Kang kills the last prisoner, and then turns his attention to Kim. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo and his team hear the screams and rush over. They arrive to find the prisoners dead and Kim badly injured. Joo-hee uses her healing magic to try to save him, but Song examines the wounds and realizes they weren't caused by monsters. The cuts are too precise. Whoever did this avoided killing Kim outright, instead letting him suffer. Kim, barely conscious, apologizes to Jin-Woo for abandoning him before. Jin-Woo urges him to stay alive for his family, but Kim takes his last breath and dies. Suddenly, Kang shows up and tries to attack Joo-hee, but Jin-Woo stops him just in time. Kang is impressed by Jin-Woo's speed, and Song quickly realizes Kang is behind all of this. Kang admits his plan to blame the massacre on the prisoners, saying they turned on everyone and he barely escaped. Song decides to confront Kang himself, stepping up to fight even though Kang is a higher ranked B-rank hunter, while Song is only C-rank. Joo-hee buffs Song's strength, and he starts attacking with his sword. Kang dodges every strike and mocks Song for even trying. Jin-Woo watches closely and sees that while Song is skilled, he's not fast enough to beat Kang. Kang eventually lands a strong hit on Song, but Joo-hee heals him quickly, frustrating Kang. Deciding Joo-hee is the bigger problem, Kang goes after her, but Song blocks him again. Kang underestimated Song, who reveals he once trained S-rank hunters. However, Kang reminds Song that as a mage-type hunter, he can't compete with an assassin type like Kang. The fight tilts in Kang's favor, and he delivers a devastating blow to Song. Joo-hee, now terrified, is too scared to heal him again. Kang gets ready to finish Song off, but Song uses his fire magic to create a distraction. Kang avoids the attack and laughs, thinking he's won. But Song had a hidden plan. Just as Kang lowers his guard, Jin-Woo steps in to stop him. Kang, shocked by Jin-Woo's sudden intervention, demands to know who he really is. Jin-Woo calmly says he's just an E-rank hunter, but Kang doesn't buy it. Kang remembers seeing Jin-Woo at the hospital, where his mana level was almost non-existent, and assumes Jin-Woo must have had a second awakening. The two begin an intense fight. Kang uses his stealth skill, making himself invisible to sight, sound, and smell. He manages to land a hit on Jin-Woo and thinks the fight is over, but Jin-Woo instantly heals himself, leaving Kang stunned. Kang realizes Jin-Woo is unpredictable and extremely dangerous. Jin-Woo tracks Kang's bloodlust, countering the stealth ability. Kang tries another attack, but Jin-Woo activates his murderous intent skill, surrounding Kang in darkness and paralyzing him with fear. Jin-Woo strikes with a powerful blow, piercing Kang's chest. As Kang dies, he admits Jin-Woo is unlike anyone he's ever seen. He warns Jin-Woo that chasing power could eventually consume him. Jin-Woo finishes the fight, completes his quest, and gains a reward, but feels something inside him breaking. He tells the others to leave the dungeon, saying he'll handle the rest on his own. Outside, Woo is shocked to learn about Kang's actions. He's even more surprised to find out that Jin-Woo survived. Woo apologizes for what happened and asks who defeated Kang. Song lies, saying he killed Kang with help from a healer. Woo, skeptical but with no evidence to the contrary, accepts the story. Jin-Woo realizes he's still not strong enough to face someone like Woo. He knows he must keep his powers a secret for now. Song, understanding Jin-Woo's reasons, tells him this lie is his way of repaying the debt he owes from the double dungeon incident. Jin-Woo reflects on everything and resolves to keep trading, growing stronger but staying careful not to lose himself along the way. That night, Joo-hee thinks about Jin-Woo and wonders if he remembers the crystal she gave him. They take a walk together, talking about how much Jin-Woo has changed. Joo-hee admits she hasn't changed at all. She's always been too timid to be a true hunter. Even though she's strong enough for a rank raids, she sticks to the lower level ones because they feel safer. She doesn't mind, though. It's how she met Jin-Woo. She remembers how he was always getting hurt but never gave up. His eyes always had this determined look, no matter how bad things got. Joo-hee hands the crystal back to Jin-Woo and tells him she's retiring from being a hunter. She's planning to move back with her parents. They agree to meet again if they ever cross paths. Meanwhile, Woo is still unsure about Jin-Woo. He can't figure out how an E-rank hunter could take down a B-rank like Kang. He already confirmed that Jin-Woo hasn't gone through a reawakening, so the whole thing doesn't make sense. Woo decides to let it go, but he warns Jin-Woo about H-Wang's brother, Dong-Soo. Dong-Soo is an S-rank hunter, and he's probably furious that Jin-Woo survived while his brother didn't. Woo tells Jin-Woo to gather his family and leave the country before Dong-Soo comes after him. But Jin-Woo sees this as just another reason to get stronger. Running away isn't an option. Jin-Woo meets up with Leo, who introduces his strike team, a group of people who have hunter abilities but no experience or proper jobs. They're struggling to make ends meet, and Leo hired them to help out. Jin-Woo notices that one of them is a high schooler, Song-yi. She proudly claims she's a qualified hunter, but Jin-Woo figures out she's an E-rank with no raid experience. Jin-Woo doesn't mind, though. He tells the group they won't be fighting. Instead, they'll stay outside while he and Leo handle the raids. The group is being paid 3 million yuan each, which is a sweet deal since they don't have to do anything. The only catch is they can't talk about it, or they'll have to pay back 10 times the money. Jin-Woo reveals he learned stealth skills from the rune he got after defeating Kang. Leo shows up in flashy armor, but Jin-Woo scolds him for being too obvious and makes him ditch most of it, keeping only the helmet. When Jin-Woo and Leo enter their first dungeon, the other hunters think they're crazy for taking on a C-rank dungeon with just 2 people. But when the gate closes shortly after, it's clear they've already cleared the dungeon. The onlookers are shocked. Jin-Woo tells Leo to get ready for another raid. They're aiming to clear 3 in one day. In the next dungeon, Jin-Woo handles goblins like they're nothing, while Leo focuses on mining crystals. Jin-Woo levels up, and the next raid is another success. Over the following days, the two keep clearing dungeons together, facing tougher monsters each time. Leo notices that Jin-Woo is getting ridiculously strong. Jin-Woo's stealth and dash skills level up, and he gains new powerful abilities. However, these skills drain his mana too quickly, so he starts using potions to recover. Realizing his mana is a weakness, Jin-Woo decides to boost his intellect stat to keep up with his growing power. Despite his progress, Jin-Woo decides he's not ready to return to the Demon Castle yet. He estimates his current strength is between B rank and A rank. Meanwhile, On, the leader of the White Tiger Guild, hears about a strike team buying up C-rank gates at double the usual price. He's curious about the name Jin-Woo, remembering the double dungeon incident, and decides to investigate. After another successful raid, Jin-Woo notices that Song-yi seems distracted. She brushes it off, saying it's nothing. Elsewhere, On suspects Jin-Woo might have gone through a reawakening. Jin-Woo has survived 3 major disasters, each with high body counts, and it's starting to look like more than luck. On decides to scout Jin-Woo himself. When On arrives at Jin-Woo's latest portal, he's shocked to find the strike team relaxing outside like it's a picnic. Song-yi explains they're part of the team but says Jin-Woo left them behind to clear the dungeon solo. On is blown away. If Jin-Woo can handle a dungeon by himself, he's a major talent. On decides to keep an eye on him. After the raid, Jin-Woo tells Leo he's busy the next day and can't join any raids. Meanwhile, we get a glimpse of Choi, who wakes up from a nightmare about Jeju Island. He checks his paperwork and realizes it's almost time for the recon mission. Later, On introduces himself to Jin-Woo as the manager of the White Tiger Guild, one of the top guilds in the country. He offers Jin-Woo double what Yujin Construction is paying if he joins. On assumes Jin-Woo, as an E rank, will jump at the offer, but Jin-Woo surprises him by asking about the guild's headquarters. When On reveals it's worth 50 billion yuan, Jin-Woo counters, saying Yujin Construction offered him a 30 billion yuan building. On admits he can't match that, and Jin-Woo loses interest. Jin-Woo uses his stealth skill to disappear, leaving On stunned. On realizes Jin-Woo isn't someone to mess with but is glad to have made contact. Jin-Woo warns On to keep quiet about him. Before leaving, Jin-Woo agrees to sell On 3 gates but demands 300 million yuan each. On negotiates it down to 200 million, and they make the deal. The next day, Leo confirms they've earned 600 million yuan from the deal. Jin-Woo tells Leo it's a trade secret how he pulled it off. Meanwhile, On realizes Jin-Woo played him. With C-rank gates now flooding the market, guilds are buying them for less than 70 million yuan. Jin-Woo sends On a cheeky message, saying they're even now. Despite this, On feels Jin-Woo is a major discovery. Finally, Jin-Woo sets out on a road trip to take on his job change quest. Jin-Woo arrives in a remote forest, far from anyone or anything, ready to take on his job change quest. This quest isn't mandatory like the penalty or emergency ones he's faced before. It's optional, and Jin-Woo figures it must be something big since it gives him a chance to gain new skills and level up his class. After accepting the quest, a gate opens, and Jin-Woo steps inside, leaving his daily quest for later. As he walks in, he tells himself, the real challenge starts now. Inside the dungeon, Jin-Woo quickly realizes this isn't going to be easy. For starters, he can't use potions or his full recovery skill, and the gate won't let him out until the quest is finished. He hears something coming toward him and gets ready to fight. A massive armored beast appears, and Jin-Woo attacks, but his strikes don't even scratch it. The monster's power catches him off guard, and Jin-Woo gets tossed around like a toy. He keeps his cool and switches tactics, relying on brute strength. Using his bare hands, he tears the monster apart. Before he can even catch his breath, two more monsters show up. One is stealthy, and the other uses light magic. Jin-Woo quickly figures out that each enemy tests a specific skill: strength for the armored one, perception for the stealthy one, and intellect for the mage. The fight pushes Jin-Woo to his limit, and he's forced to analyze the situation and adapt fast. His fatigue is building, but he doesn't back down. After a tough battle, he finally defeats them. Jin-Woo earns some rewards, including a chest plate that can turn invisible. He's relieved it doesn't restrict his movement and decides to wear it. He moves deeper into the dungeon and comes across a massive door. As it opens, a cold wind hits him, giving him chills. Inside is a throne room, and Jin-Woo immediately feels an overwhelming pressure. It reminds him of the double dungeon that nearly killed him. The source of this pressure is a knight commander named Rizz, who has a red name above his head, a sign that he's way stronger than Jin-Woo. Before Jin-Woo can even prepare, Rizz attacks with incredible speed, slicing through pillars like they're paper. Jin-Woo tries to dodge, but the knight is too fast and powerful. Jin-Woo's strikes don't even dent Rizz' armor. Realizing he can't win with weapons, Jin-Woo decides to fight barehanded. Surprisingly, Rizz tosses his own weapon aside, accepting the challenge. The fight is brutal. Rizz is faster, stronger, and more skilled than Jin-Woo. Even though Jin-Woo manages to land a few hits, the knight shrugs them off and keeps tossing Jin-Woo around. Every blow Jin-Woo takes drains his HP and pushes him closer to the edge. But Jin-Woo refuses to give up. Summoning all his strength, he pulls off a risky move, stabbing Rizz in the helmet's gap with his dagger. The knight tries to use the dagger, but Jin-Woo's weapon doesn't switch owners. It automatically returns to his inventory. Using everything he has left, Jin-Woo drives the blade deeper, finally defeating Rizz. A notification pops up, confirming his victory. Jin-Woo is relieved but knows this win was pure luck. If he'd made even one mistake, he would have been dead. His rewards include a ton of gold, an S-rank helmet that boosts his stats and reduces damage, a rune stone for a new skill called Ruler's Hand, and a teleportation stone. The teleportation stone puzzles Jin-Woo. It doesn't make sense to get it if the dungeon is already cleared. That's when he realizes the quest isn't over yet. Portals open around him, and a notification reveals the real challenge: survive as long as possible. The longer he survives, the more advancement points he'll earn. Jin-Woo steels himself as an army of monsters starts pouring out of the portals. Thankfully, these enemies are weaker than Rizz, but there are so many of them that Jin-Woo knows he can't relax. He charges in, determined to hold his ground. The fight drags on, and Jin-Woo starts to feel the strain. His stealth skill helps him avoid the monsters for a while, but a mage spots him and breaks his cover. Forced back into combat, Jin-Woo keeps fighting, but his fatigue builds rapidly. He takes a sword to the back and realizes he's only lasted 5 minutes. The monsters keep coming, and Jin-Woo knows he can't keep this up for much longer. Desperate, he reaches for the teleportation stone to escape. But before he can use it, a monster knocks it out of his hand. Now surrounded and with no way out, Jin-Woo braces himself for what feels like an impossible battle. Jin-Woo kept fighting, even though the monsters seemed unbeatable, and his body was breaking down. With his stamina nearly gone and no teleportation stone to escape, the only way out was to defeat them all. His stealth and murderous intent skills weren't working, but Jin-Woo refused to give up. He thought about how he had struggled his whole life, always fighting to improve, and this battle wasn't going to be any different. As the fight went on, Jin-Woo started hearing voices. The monsters mocked him, calling him the weakest hunter and reminding him of all the times he had been injured and humiliated. Then, imaginary versions of Song and Ju-hee appeared, telling him to stop pushing himself so hard. Finally, his younger self showed up, saying Jin-Woo hadn't really changed and was still the same weakie rank hunter. The younger Jin-Woo claimed he deserved to lose because he wasn't ready for this fight. These words got under Jin-Woo's skin, making him doubt himself for a moment. Just when things seemed hopeless, a notification popped up. His daily quest penalty was activating. Jin-Woo realized the penalty would teleport him to the penalty zone, effectively saving him. He laughed bitterly, realizing that the system, or maybe sheer luck, didn't want him dead yet. Once in the penalty zone, Jin-Woo felt relieved but still cautious. He popped potions to recover, but a warning told him they wouldn't heal his HP completely. He'd have to rely on leveling up or natural recovery to regain his strength. In the penalty zone, Jin-Woo fought off a wave of monsters he used to fear. Now, he crushed them with ease, leveling up and recovering his health in the process. With 10 minutes left, he took the chance to buy a new weapon, the Night Killer Dagger, which dealt extra damage to armored monsters. He also used the rune stone from his earlier fight with Igris to unlock the Ruler's Hand skill, which let him move objects without touching them. Testing the skill, he found he could only move small things for now, but it was a start. When the penalty time ended, Jin-Woo was teleported back to the dungeon, ready to fight again. He noticed something strange. While he was defeating the knights, it didn't feel like he was making much progress. Then he realized the mages were the real threat. They were summoning the knights. Jin-Woo switched tactics, targeting the mages first. Every time he took one down, some of the knights collapsed. He hunted the remaining mages, even when they summoned a massive golem to protect themselves. Jin-Woo used his speed and strength to destroy the golem, proving just how much stronger he had become. With all the enemies defeated, the system announced that Jin-Woo had completed the job change quest. But instead of choosing a new class, the system assigned him the Necromancer class. This confused Jin-Woo since Necromancers rely on magic, and his build was all about strength and agility. Accepting the class felt like throwing away all the hard work he'd done. The system explained that Necromancer was a hidden class, which made Jin-Woo reconsider. He realized that, like the mages he had fought, summoning an army of soldiers could make him even stronger. Finally, Jin-Woo accepted the class, trusting that he could adapt. Suddenly, Jin-Woo's performance in the quest earned him enough points to skip the Necromancer class entirely and upgrade to the Shadow Monarch class. This advanced class gave him unique abilities, including Shadow Extraction, which allowed him to turn defeated enemies into Shadow Soldiers, and Shadow Storage, where he could keep and summon those soldiers whenever he wanted. However, the extraction could fail depending on how strong the target was or how long they'd been dead. Excited to test his new powers, Jin-Woo summoned his first Shadow Soldiers, creating knights and mages with different ranks. Then he turned to Igris, the powerful knight commander he had defeated earlier. He tried extracting Igris's shadow, but the first two attempts failed. Jin-Woo refused to give up, speaking to Igris's warrior spirit and promising him a purpose. On the third attempt, Igris's shadow rose, and Jin-Woo gave him back his name as a sign of respect. With Igris and his growing shadow army by his side, Jin-Woo felt ready for anything. He declared that they were all his allies now, ready to fight alongside him. Meanwhile, the other hunters reached Jeju Island and discovered something terrifying. The red ants from the failed raid had evolved, growing wings and becoming even deadlier. And that's where this video ends. Watch this following video.